This video is going to be a masterclass on everything you need to know to attract high-ticket clients online. We're going to talk about what funnel to run, how to create your VSL, how to run ads, how to create great video ads, and then how to use email marketing to nurture and convert leads into high-ticket customers. If you don't know me already, my name is Brice, and over the last couple of years, I have generated millions of dollars in sales for companies that are selling high-ticket coaching and courses. And this video is a compilation of all of my best resources on how to do everything from setting up your funnel, what you need to put inside of it, how to run ads, and then how to convert people online into high-ticket customers. So let's get into it. So there's this old quote from Dan Kennedy that says, whoever can spend the most money to acquire a customer wins. And if you are doing less than $100,000 a month, you have a high-ticket offer, like a service or a course or a coaching program that you are trying to sell. This funnel is the best funnel that I have seen to get you to that 100K a month mark. And again, on the surface, this is going to look really simple, but we really want to talk about what is the underlying stuff that makes this funnel work. The funnel is only 5 pages. It's really simple. I'm going to walk you through it step by step. And if you're like, man, I don't know how to build any of this, that's what we're going to be getting into in this. We're going to talk about what to put on the page, how to make it stand out, how to make it different. So I'm going to go over all that. And remember, it's also in the download just below this video. Now, before we get into all the pages and what to put on there, we need to talk about your offer first. Everybody says you need a great offer. And if you don't know where to start at all, the best place to do is just go check out $100 Million Leads by Alex Hormozi. It's that book on Amazon. You've probably heard about it. If you haven't, definitely check it out. That is a great place to really break down how to do this. Now, the things that I have seen that make this really stand out, and especially from a paid ads perspective, when you want to be able to spend money on ads to grow your business, one thing that I will say matters more than anything is being different matters a lot. And I mean a lot, a lot. You cannot run a generic offer and expect to win in this world. Some examples would be like, if you are trying to run an offer that's like how to become a sales closer, or how to lose 10 pounds, or how to become a life coach. These are not unique and new. People have seen these before. And I know that this can be some really frustrating feedback to hear because it is hard to come up with something unique and new. But if this was easy, everyone would be a millionaire. This game is not easy, right? You have to figure out a way to be unique and different. That is the fundamentals of marketing. If you just spend some time to study the market and look at what's working, you will notice 2 things. The first thing you will see is big names and big players who are able to market pretty much anything they want, right? When Tony Robbins comes out with a new program that says how to become better at business, it works because he's Tony Robbins. Like, he can pretty much do whatever he wants. His name adds a lot of credibility to things. But the second group of people who are crushing it is people who are offering things that are new and different. And that's because when you don't have a brand to carry the weight, you have to figure out what is your unique positioning in a marketplace. And so I know that is hard to hear sometimes, but if you have been struggling trying to make this work, and you look around and you are marketing something that everybody else is also offering, and it's not working for you, the answer probably is you're just not unique and different enough. And you've got to figure out a way to position yourself differently. This is just one of those things that is very challenging to do, but once you figure it out, it will make a massive impact on your business. The second thing is having an offer that is mass market. So you want to be broad enough that you can attract a lot of leads, but again, specific enough to stand out. So they say the riches are in the niches, and there is truth to that. But one of the challenges with Facebook and these different ad platforms today is the way the algorithm works is you have to be able to get a certain volume of data coming in on a daily and weekly basis for them to be able to go out and find more people like the people you're looking for to optimize your campaigns. And so those days of like hyper targeting super specific niches on Facebook just doesn't work anymore. Now what's working is things that are very broad and having a bigger audience that you can market to. So let me give you an example. If you have come up with an offer and you've determined that there are 500 people in the United States who are like, let's say, potential financing partners for car washing businesses in the United States, that is probably not something you want to run an ad campaign to, because there's just not going to be able to get enough data to come in and optimize and grow a winning campaign over time. Now, if you're trying to run a campaign that's to like all of the business owners that own car washes in the United States, there's a couple million people in the United States that own car washes. So now you've got an audience you can work with. So that's what I mean by it needs to be broad enough that you can attract a lot of leads, but again, specific enough that it stands out. A lot of people struggle with these funnels and they think that they have like bad ads or a bad landing page, when really the answer is they have a bad offer and it just doesn't stand out enough. And again, I know that this offer topic one's really deep, so I'm going to drop some extra resources down in that little document just below this video that you can download and check out to really dig into your offer. Once you nail the offer, everything that is happening in your funnel after that is just communicating your offer to the market. So let's go ahead and dig into that first touch point, which is your landing page. We have tested tons of these, and what we've really come down to is like this simple version. We really do want to keep this simple. It really is about what you're communicating on this page, but we've tested long, short, bunch of copy, short copy. This is what works best for us. So above the fold here. So what I mean by above the fold is just like what pops up immediately when they're on their screen. What we want to have up here is like a little qualifier. So who this is for, call out exactly who this is for. This is for these type of people. You want to have your headline and your subheadline. So this is really like usually presenting what your offer is or what this opportunity is, or speaking to the pain points they have and how they get away from it. Usually, you know, this, and this without this, or in this timeline. That's what you can use your subheadline for. We also use a disqualifier. So like, if you are not this person, do not move forward. If you are not this, and this, do not enter your information. And we've tested like a 2-step board, meaning like they click the button and then something pops up and then they enter in the information and then they go forward, or just having having it right here on the page. We have found that having it right on the page works best for us. This is a good thing to test for you in the future, but like, this is what works best for us. This is really a big part, is like having some kind of authority building section. So you want to have like, who is this expert? And what is a little bio about them, about why they're qualified to help you with what they're about to present. So this is really where we want to start presenting status, and we really want to start setting the optics of like who this person is for. So here we'll have like a little picture of our expert. But again, like really think about what are you communicating in this picture. So if you have like a business, make money related offer, you standing on stage with a microphone, giving a talk to 100 people is going to look way different than it's just a headshot of you here smiling. Or if you're like a weight loss person, having a picture of you here being shredded or super fit is going to be way different than if it's just, again, a picture of you here smiling. So like really think about the optics of what you're communicating in this little bio and with this picture, because it really does matter. And these are first impressions. So the frame that you can set here makes a big, big difference. We've also found to just put a little testimonial blurb at the very bottom. So usually that is about something that is mentioned here on this page. So a lot of times we're either like mentioning our unique mechanism, or what our offer is, or what our framework is, or whatever that is. And so we'll have a little testimonial, like we try to find it related to what's on this page. So, hey, when I discovered this, I achieved this incredible result that, you know, after working with this person, or whatever that is. And so this is the framework that we have found works pretty repeatedly for all of these funnels. Again, we've done a bunch of testing on these. Keep it super simple. Most people will not even scroll down to get to the who this is for thing. They will just read this part and decide if they're going to opt in or not. So really focus your energy on having a really good headline and subheadline. But we do find that having a little bio and a testimonial helps with conversions. If your landing page is not working, a lot of times it's just because, again, it's just not unique enough. It's not different enough. It doesn't stand out. They get to that page. And if they get to this page and they have the thought, I've seen this before, you're losing. Like that's one of the biggest things. So really spend that time on that headline, that subheadline, the qualifier and the disqualifier to figure out who are the right people and how you can speak to them to get them to want to move forward and take the next step. All right, so now let's talk about where the heavy lifting happens. And this is your video sales letter. So this is where we'll have a video that really like digs into the pain and the problem that someone has, presents them with a solution, and then pushes them to get on a call with you at the end. We have found that usually this is between like 15 to 25 minutes. You want it to be short enough that people can get through it, because people's attention spans are oftentimes very short, especially if you're in a market where they've seen a lot of stuff like this. But you also want to be able to make sure that you can make your whole argument for your offer. So what I did was I took one of our top performing VSLs and I broke it down. And this is exactly the framework that video follows. One, we really want to try to have like an attention grabbing hook in the very beginning. So we're really trying to grab their attention in the first couple of seconds once they hit play on that video. We're clearly stating the main transformation and telling them why this is going to be different. So like, what is the outcome we can get them to? And why is this going to be different than what they've been doing before? In that video, then we get into the macro trends of this opportunity. So we talk about like why this is something big that's happening around you now, And this kind of creates urgency and really sets the tone for like why this is important. And not in terms of like me just saying it, but like we're getting into some numbers and stats around like why this macro opportunity presents itself. But then we're clearly differentiating between like the old way and the new way. So like, hey, if you want to be on this trend, that's great. And the old way of doing this, the way a lot of people did this in the past, the way that you'll hear a lot of other people doing this is this way, and this way. And the new way to do this is this way. And so this is where we're really separating like the old way and the new way, which is like them and us, how we're different. Showing them transformation and what's possible with this new way. So like really painting a picture of what that looks like. Some authority credibility. So like, why listen to me? Who am I? Why, we get through all of this very, very quickly. And then we present them with the plan. And so I think this is really important to have inside of your VSL, which is like, this is your step-by-step framework or whatever you're going to do to get to that outcome, to that new way. This is the plan that they can follow. And it's really important that like, we're not getting into like your specific offer. So this is not like, whatever the coaching program that you're doing or the course that you have. This is not like your specific product that you are selling. This is the plan. This is how they can get that thing. This is that thing that you have developed, that plan that you've created. And then we show some more proof of success. So these like case studies, testimonial stories, talking about people sprinkled throughout this entire presentation. But this is where we get into a little bit more actual like case studies and testimonials. Then we present the offer. And so this is where we get into like, hey, if you want to follow that plan, if you're super bought into what this outcome is, you're down to do this new way, you want to go through our plan. And what I have here is this offer. And so this is where we just break down the exact offer, kind of tell them what it looks like. If we're going to have the price in here, like I mentioned before, like you can have the price or you cannot have the price. We have the price in a lot of them. If you want to have more calls, you can just not have the price. But if you have the price in here, this is where we do like a little offer stack. So like, here's all the stuff you're going to get. Could be worth this much. We sold it for this much. Right now, we're going to have this kind of price. And so there's a justification around it, overcome objections, and then tell them to click on the button below, book a call with you, get on the phone with your sales team. And that's how you're going to move forward. So when you've done this correctly, you can get through all of this in about 15 to 25 minutes again. And this is a really, really high performing video that we found. And so you're going to put that video on a landing page. The headline is going to be pretty similar to what was on the landing page. We want to keep that congruency, that consistency. We've got the video there and then a call to action button. That again is going to usually be like apply here, apply now, book your call. And any kind of social proof, like if we have any like as seen on bars or, we've been featured on Forbes and all these places, we'll put those there. And then usually just a bunch of testimonials underneath because we really want to build that social proof. We want to get through that objection that a lot of people have of like, can I really trust this? Is this real? A big thing we've been seeing work a lot lately is like actually just screenshots of Trustpilot reviews. So if you have reviews from third-party sites, that has been seeming to work better than us just like, text writing in the reviews or something like that. And we really just want to have text, long page of text right here. And the big thing we want to get people to do is, again, just watch this video. Spend all of your time and energy trying to make this video as engaging as possible. And I can tell you, like for our best funnels, we have tested so many videos of this. We will test like different ideas in this video, different like openings, different big ideas, different thumbnails. So like what's the thing that's popping up on the screen that's like getting people to click play? I'll give you a tech list in that download that's down below this video. But like we use Wistia, which is a tool that allows us to like A/B test these videos. And over time, we'll just come up with lots of different ideas on like how we can try to continue to make this video more engaging and also get through it quicker. Because we've tried adding longer and longer videos. People just seem to fall off the longer the video gets. So if we can keep this like short and punchy, but still get everything in there, that's what really, really matters. And again, that's what does a lot of the heavy lifting in this funnel. So once somebody clicks on that thing, next thing they do is they go to an application. So again, we've also tested this, like this next part is super simple. These are just pages that have embedded forms on them. We've tested this on like sending people just straight to Calendly and letting them answer the questions there. What we found was that if we just send people straight to Calendly, what they end up doing is they actually book a time and then they answer questions versus answering questions and then book a time. And so we found it better for us for in terms of like our sales follow-up and everything else. If we actually just split it out so that they ask the questions first, they get to go through the form. And then after that, we redirect them to the calendar. The calendars listen book with like a name and phone number. That part's pretty simple. We want to ask ask a series of qualifying questions to make sure that we have the right fit, that they are the right person. And this helps us figure out, we can like score our leads, figure out if they're a really good lead, a medium lead that we need to reach out to and follow up with, or if we just need to disqualify them, get them off our calendar. you can ask as many questions as you can get people to fill out. But again, remember, like the more questions you ask, and especially the more like open-ended questions that you ask, the longer it's going to take someone to get the form. So the higher the fall off is going to be, less people are going to fill it out. So if you are packed full of sales calendar calls and you're trying to get just more qualified people, you can ask more questions. But if you're just trying to get calls, I mean, you could even just skip this part right away, go straight to a Calendly. And then as you're getting more calls, as you're getting more sales calls, as you have more sales coming in, as your time becomes more valuable, then what you can do is reduce the amount of calls that you're getting on your calendar by adding in the application and adding in more questions. Now, after that, a really big page that you want to optimize is this thank you page. A lot of people just skip this, or they just put like, hey, thanks for booking your call. You know, we'll talk to you soon, or whatever that is. After someone books a call, the time between them booking a call and them getting on the phone with you is an incredible opportunity to set the frame, to set expectations, to build up the trust that they have in you and your program, all of that stuff. So that's all super, super important. And you can start doing that right on the thank you page. And so on the thank you page, again, oftentimes what we will do is just have a headline and then another video, just one video. What we want to do is just like thank them for booking a call, set expectations for what's coming next. Oftentimes we'll put underneath that call to action button like a little letter from the founder. And this is oftentimes like a very similar thing about what we're going to be talking about in the video, which is like, hey, thanks for booking. Here's what's going to happen next. And here's why this is going to be great for you. And then also we point them to the email, because what we send them is a pre-call guide. And that pre-call guide is usually like a 10 to 15 page PDF that just talks about like, who is the founder? What is this program about? What are they going to get? What is the exact offer? And then tons of social proof. So talking about little case studies and testimonials about what it is that our program does and what they're going to be talking about on the call. Because we really want to make sure that when they get on the call, they're excited about being there. They're ready to talk about who they are, what their problems are, the problems they want to solve, and they know about our program and what we offer, so that we're not trying to cover all that on the call. And what we really don't want to be doing is getting on the call and trying to figure out like if they trust us, if they like us, all of that stuff. So we're trying to set the frame and build all of that proof in before we get to the call. So after the call is when we get into the sales side of things. So this is when we actually have a sales call where we jump on Zoom. We want to make sure we're using like a repeatable framework. So we want to make sure we have at least a framework that we're following repeatedly, so we can figure out what's working, improve it, improve our close numbers. We send, and then from there, we just like collect their information over the phone, or if you really want to, you could send them a link. I think it's way better to collect the information over the phone. We just fill it straight into Kajabi, and then that automates all their course access after that. So one of the things that I see done really, really well in the best of these funnels is actually the follow-up. So we want to make sure that we have sequences that are moving people through each step through email, because the reality is most people will opt in and they won't watch the video sales letter right away. And so your follow-up game is super, super important here. So you want to make sure that you have an email sequence that is going to be moving people from, hey, I opted in, to actually consuming this video sales letter. That's the most important part of this next stage. And then if someone fills out the application, but they don't book a call, if you've got those two steps broken out, then we want to make sure we have like a drop-off sequence. Like, hey, I saw you fill out this application. Make sure you book a call. And then again, after someone books a call, we send them that pre-call guide so that we can really set the frame for what's going to happen on the call. And then also too, like we want to make sure we have a show up sequence. So like this is like, hey, you know, this is your reminder of like, hey, your call's in 24 hours, calls in a couple hours. I'm going to be calling you in like 10 minutes, you know, let's jump on Zoom. Those are all super important to help increase our show up rates, like book more calls and increase our show up rate. This right here is the full funnel that we are using that has generated millions of dollars in sales. Because what we're doing is just using that simple video sales letter in order to get people on the phone with salespeople and close them into high ticket deals. And honestly, when I first started running these, like I really didn't even realize how many people would see or go through these funnels and then spend like $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 on the phone. But this happens every single day. And then once we've got this, like we use all traffic sources to make this work. So running Facebook ads, YouTube ads, we've got retargeting happening on all platforms. We drive like YouTube organic. If you've got Instagram or any other social media platforms, you can just send everybody to this landing page, because the big thing that we have here is we just want to get everybody to watch this video sales letter. This is our main offer, and we want to use that to get people on the phone. Again, like some more stuff that we talked about that really happens in this follow-up is like having a really killer offer. Also great optics, like being that charismatic leader, being a real authority, being really good on camera is all super, super valuable today. And we have these follow-up sequences, and like if somebody opts in, but they don't book a call right away, we have really, really long-term email follow-up. So sending 2 or 3 emails a week, sending out bonus trainings, which is something I really like doing, which is like, just have a landing page with hey, we send out an email. Hey, we've got a bonus training for you. We make a little 5-10 minute Loom video. We put that on a landing page with a call to action underneath. Those are super valuable. Having like live or regular monthly events or regular events is super valuable. One thing that we've done over time is we've stacked a mini course on top of this. So if they go through all this and they don't buy, we'll actually start pitching them little mini courses. But this we didn't do until we were already a multi-million-dollar business. So, this is something that we've seen that works really well. But again, like if you're just getting started, you really want to focus on just the beginning. And then later you can start to build out all this other stuff as you go forward. All right, so that's it. That is the entire breakdown of the funnel that has helped us generate millions of dollars in high ticket sales online. Hopefully after watching this, you now have some deeper insights on like how these funnels actually work, what makes them work, and more specifically, like what you can focus on so that if you want to get one of these set up for yourself, you know exactly what to do. If you have any questions about this, please just drop them down in the comments below. I also love to hear what comes up because I can always use that for future videos that we're going to make. And then again, remember, you can get everything that I just shared in this video, plus some other really cool goodies if you will check out that link that's down in the description below. And the thing is, Facebook ads have changed a lot in the last couple of years. There is a new way to run ad campaigns, but the good news is it is simpler, it scales easier, and it takes a lot less time actually inside the ads manager. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how you can set up your Facebook ads to sell online courses and high ticket program. What we're going to be covering is we're going to be talking about the big shifts and mistakes that companies are making right now because they haven't updated their ad strategy. We're going to be talking about how to focus your resources the right way when you're running Facebook ads. We're going to talk about the new structure for winning campaigns, targeting the right people on Facebook, how to create winning Facebook ads and exactly what you should be making, testing ads the right way, optimizing and scaling your campaigns, measuring your results so you know how much money you're making, and how to roll all of this out inside your ad campaign if you're not doing this right now and you want to be doing this. So by the end of this video, you're going to have the full download. I also just made it so that you can skip through down on the time bar if you want to go check out certain parts of this video. If you want to bookmark this and come back to this later, I've got all of it laid out for you. And then I've also got a good little bonus download that I put down in the description where you can get a little bit more detailed resources on all of this. So if you're just getting started with Facebook ads and you want to know exactly what you need to be doing, go ahead and grab that download and you can follow along everything that I'm showing you in this video. With that, let's get into it. So there have been some big shifts in just the last couple of years with Facebook. It always feels like with a lot of these things kind of roll out slowly until they happen all at once. And I was doing some consulting with a couple of companies the other day that still are using a lot of the older strategies that are making it harder for Facebook to spend for them, and they're having a hard time scaling. And so a lot of what I'm covering in this video is the same kind of stuff I was covering on these consulting calls, because these are a lot of the things that people are doing that aren't working for us anymore. A big one is doing like micro-targeting strategies. So it was very common not that long ago, where if you wanted to test a campaign, you would test 50 different audiences. And you would have a bunch of ad sets with individual interests in there, and you'd be trying to figure out which interests are going to convert for you and which ones aren't. We used to also have very complicated testing strategies. So launching hundreds of ad sets where we're trying to figure out exactly what's the best headline, what's the best hook for this ad, what's the best creative, what's the best video versus image, and we'd be testing tons and tons of variables all across different ad sets, which would create these campaigns where we would have 100 or more ad sets trying to test a bunch of different variables. Another thing that we used to do was we used to have a lot of middle of funnel and bottom of funnel campaigns because we had really good retargeting with the Facebook pixel. But now that that's gone, we're not doing this hyper segmented retargeting anymore. Now, when I look at most of our accounts, the audiences are really big. What I find, especially with info, is like we're not on broad targeting. We're not doing no targeting at all. I'm going to show you exactly what we're doing here in a little bit, but we've got really, really big audiences. For creatives, we're really trying to get a lot of quantity out there. So we're really trying to test a lot of ads because this new strategy that we don't have a lot of wasted ad spend with bad ads. And so we're able to test a lot of ideas and see which ones work best for the algorithm. And our account structures are getting really simple. Like we've got maybe a couple of cold traffic campaigns, we've got one retargeting campaign, and that's really about it. So when we're talking about big picture, what do you want to be focusing on as you're going forward? As it's always been with Facebook, the big thing that you want to do is optimize for exactly what you want. So for info and high ticket, there's only a couple of funnels we're running. The biggest one are VSL sales call funnels. So we're actually trying to get qualified calls with the sales team so they can close over the phone. Webinars are not working nearly as well as they used to for most markets, but that's not to say that they're not working. Especially if you're outside of the US, webinars can still work really well. Really depends on the market is what we've seen. A lot of people are also running low ticket offers. No matter what funnel you're running, the most important thing is to optimize for exactly what you want from Facebook. So in most cases, this is probably going to be sales. The exceptions that I usually see is when we're running sales call funnels, oftentimes we don't get enough sales data on a day-to-day basis to actually be able to optimize for sales. And so what we will often optimize for is good quality sales calls. That means we've got some kind of application or filtering process where we're only sending back good calls to the Facebook pixel. So Facebook knows what's a good qualified call. But again, when you're going in and you're actually setting up these campaigns, you want to optimize for exactly what you want from Facebook because that's what you're going to get. That means you don't need to be optimizing for clicks. You don't need to be optimizing for video views. You don't need to be seasoning the pixel. Just go out there and optimize for what you want. For you, especially if you are like the business owner or the big creative person that is managing this stuff, you need to have a really clear messaging strategy. So you need to be really focused on like, what is your broader marketing and messaging strategy and how are you communicating your brand across everything that you're doing? Because that's going to be a really important part of this journey that people are going on because they're going to find you online and they're going to go check you out on social media. They're going to look at reviews. And so that's a really important thing for you to be paying attention to here is like, what is your overall messaging strategy? And how is that being communicated? Because ads are oftentimes a really great first touch point. But in this day and age, people are going to go do research on you, right? Like they know they have options. They've seen a lot of these ads before. And so really being clear about like what your overall marketing strategy is going to be super important. And then, yeah, the next thing here is like we really want to focus on creative and funnel optimization as we go forward. And we're going to talk about all this stuff in detail in this video. But if you're like the person who is in charge of rolling this stuff out, the important thing is to make sure that like you've got this stuff in mind as you go forward. This is where you're allocating your time and your resources. So on to how we're structuring these winning campaigns. This is a big change from where we were at 4 or 5 years ago. It used to be a lot of ABO targeting. It used to be a lot of small interest. It used to be a ton of ad sets. Now we found our campaigns are way more simplified. Always just want to start with one campaign per funnel. So that means if you've got a sales call funnel or a webinar, you are just running one campaign with all of your cold traffic to that funnel. And we want to optimize for trying to keep these accounts as simple as possible. So if you have a different business objective coming out for your company, like let's say you've got a new funnel coming out, or you're doing a big Black Friday campaign or something like that, that might be its own campaign. But we really want to try to consolidate as much data as we can into one campaign. These are CBO campaigns, so we're letting Facebook decide how to distribute the budget across these campaigns. And that's going to come in really important when we get into how we're testing new ads. We've got big, broad audiences. So again, we're not doing these like micro targeting campaigns where we used to have 50 ad sets targeting 50 different interests to find out if Tony Robbins converts better than Robert Kiyosaki. Like we're just throwing all of that stuff in there and letting Facebook go out and figure out how to attract the best people for this funnel. More often than not, we are using dynamic creative, or depending on what account we're in, maybe it's that new flexible ad creative. I found in like our old accounts, we still do have the dynamic option, and the new ones we've got flexible. And then when we set those up, we're using this 3x2x2 ad option, which I'm going to show you what that is. But this is what that structure looks like. So if you check out this campaign, like this is an account that we've been running for a really long time. We spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in this account. And you can see the way that we have this set up, we have a couple of different cold traffic campaigns. So we've got one campaign for one funnel. And so this is a newer funnel that we're testing. So we've just got all of our data going through this one campaign. And then we've got 3 campaigns set up here for this other funnel. This is our longest running funnel. This is our main funnel. This is our best VSL. This is where we drive the vast majority of our traffic. We started out with one campaign, but what we found over time was we've actually got 3 different avatars that we drive to this funnel. And for us to be able to better control the messaging, but more importantly, to be able to better control the budget for like what type of person we're trying to spend money to attract, What we ended up doing is we broke this one campaign out into 3 campaigns that's broken down by avatar. And so that's one really important thing to mention here is like everything that I'm telling you is what we have found is like a good best practice to get started with. And this is what we're doing with the accounts that we're in to set this up. These are like the principles that we're following. But you always need to test this stuff up and test this stuff out and find out what works best for you. And so you don't ever want to just follow anything that you find on the internet about this kind of stuff blindly, but you really want to test it out and find out what's going to work for you. And again, I'm going to show you exactly how I would roll all this stuff out at the end of this video. So stick around for that. So now let's talk about how to target the right people. So one thing that I've seen is we are using really broad targeting. And now when I say broad targeting, I am not talking about just like open targeting for anybody. I see e-com videos all the time that are talking about like, we're just doing open targeting. We let Facebook decide all of it. For all of our accounts where we're selling like info and high ticket offers, I don't find that that kind of broad targeting works because we usually do have a specific person that we're going after. We're not selling like mushroom coffee or skin cream. And so we do want to guide Facebook, but we want to give it really open targeting. And so hard rules are always a good idea. Like if you know exactly what gender or what age band or a specific country, you absolutely want to be using that. That's like the just basic framework to guide Facebook in the right direction. Then what I find works really good is big stacks of interest. So again, like if you're going into the business world, we're no longer testing to see if Tony Robbins converts better than Robert Kiyosaki. Like we're just throwing all of those interests into one ad set and seeing if this general business audience is going to work. Because once we give Facebook these couple of interests that are pushing in the right direction, it's already going out there and finding more people like that. So we really just want to guide Facebook in the right direction. The other thing we're seeing working really well is like stacking 2 different interests. So let's say like your campaign is targeting real estate agents because you've got like some kind of real estate offer. So what we've seen work really well is like one interest group will have all the real estate related interests. And then we will narrow that down and we will stack a bunch of business related interests. So now we know we've got like real estate people who are interested in business. And then another thing we've worked even better with that is when we have enough data, we will layer on top like a 3% lookalike audience. So what we end up here is we've got a really big lookalike audience with 2 really big interests, but we're giving Facebook a lot of really good direction to go in and start to find the right people for us. And so when we do that, when we find something that's working, all of our ad sets have the exact same targeting on them. And so when we find something that works, usually in like one cold traffic campaign, that's CBO, all of our ad sets have the exact same targeting in them. They're just this one really big audience that we know works. And the thing that we really want to focus on is getting really good, clean data into that pixel. Because if you give Facebook really bad data, you're going to get really bad results back out. It's like garbage in, garbage out. And so if you're running a VSL sales call funnel, you want to make sure that the only data you're sending back to the pixel is good calls. Like anyone who has a bad application or has a low chance of converting, you can filter them out by sending them to a different thank you page or not letting them book a call right away. And you only send the best qualified people to your calendar, and then you're optimizing for calls. Now, what you're telling Facebook is, here's what a really good call looks like. Go get me more of these. And so we've got this really big audience, but we're trying to send Facebook a lot of data, letting them know what's a good lead for us or what's a good customer for us. And that's what's going to help us target the right people. And then the other thing that we're doing, because we've got these big, broad audiences, is we're using our messaging to call out to our audience. So when I look at our ads, almost all of our ads are calling out to our audience in that first sentence. Some of them are being super direct. It just says like, looking for this type of people, or attention, this type of person. Some of them are a little more subtle and like we start a storyline talking about an industry or a market. And so that's what's going to call it to people who are already in that industry or that market. But we're really making sure above that like little see more button, we're calling out to the person that we want to attract with our ads. And that's the new way that we're doing targeting. Now, because we're not doing micro targeting anymore, we've got these really broad audiences. The biggest thing that we want to focus on is creative. And so here's how we're creating high performing ads. We really want to think about getting a lot of quantity of ads inside the ads manager. We want to have good ads, of course, if we want them to be good quality. But from what I've seen, like having really high produced ads, it does not mean it's going to convert better than something else. A lot of our best ads are like super simple UGC. We've even started to see like a lot of like 15-second little like TikTok-y reel style videos are working well. We've still got images working really well. And I'm checking like just regular images that you would shoot with your iPhone. And so don't think about so much about getting super polished stuff out there. Of course, that's good and you should absolutely test it. But we also want to just get a lot of quantity of ads in. And you're going to see how when we set these up, Facebook's going to be able to optimize for the ads that are working best. And so our job as the advertisers is to really just make sure that we're getting a lot of quantity of ads in there. The messaging is where we really want to focus on matching the awareness level of the customers that we're trying to target. And so for cold traffic, for people who are problem aware, maybe solution aware, we've got different messaging that's speaking to those people. And then as people get further on in the customer journey, they maybe know a little bit more about us, our brand, and they're starting to get into our retargeting campaigns. This is where we're going to start making direct offers, talking about our product, especially in retargeting campaigns. What I absolutely love doing is like tons of testimonials, tons of client success stories, tons of case studies, talking about all the different unique parts about our program. If we have a community, showing off our community, because that works great in ads. But think about the journey that someone's going to go on from when they first discover that they have this problem that you solve to before they even know about your brand or your product. And then what are they going to find out as they learn about your brand, about the product, about the solutions that are out there on the market, and really stage a lot of your copy and your ads against that journey. For the actual types of ads, like try everything. When it comes to videos, we're talking like we've got talking head ads, we've got reels and TikTok style videos. So like stuff that we see working out there, we start running those as ads, like founder stories, student stories. If there's like little trends going on online and you can make little trendy videos that are like 10, 15-second clips, those work great. You can try really high production stuff. So when I think about like Sabri Subi or Russell Brunson, they usually got really high production stuff, but also try like really low production stuff. I mean, like stuff that we have just filmed holding up with an iPhone, like UGC style videos also work super well. And a lot of times we've seen that those will outperform high production stuff. So I think it's really important again to just focus on like come up with a lot of ideas and just make sure that you have a system to consistently get new creatives in your account on a regular basis. When we're talking about images like lifestyle action shots, so like especially if you're meeting up with your community or some of your customers or clients in person, like take lots of photos of that. Memes, testimonials, social posts. So like you see this all the time on Instagram. People just like it looks like a Twitter post, but it's on their Instagram page. Those work well. Pets, I mean, like some of our best ads have just been like our expert with their dog, and like that works really well. And then even try like Canva, more like corporate style looking stuff. So like all text, it's just super graphic designy. We try all of this stuff because we've seen all of it work. The big thing that we found that's a big key is doing 3 variations for each thing. So if we're doing a video, we will do the exact same video, but we will always test 3 hooks. So maybe that's the exact same video, but we have 3 different visual hooks at the very beginning. That means like the first 3 seconds are different. Or maybe we've got the exact same video, but the first 3 seconds are like a different audio or a different hook that we're leading into that video. And with images, so we'll always do like 3 different versions. So maybe we've got like the exact same text, but we've got like 3 different designs, or we've got 3 different images that are kind of conveying the same thing, but in different way. And that way, when we go to set up our ads using this like 3-2-2 strategy, we've always got 3 creatives that are along the similar angle, along the similar idea, but we're feeding the algorithm enough stuff to play with and figure out what's really going to convert. And that's going to be able to be what ramps up with spend. Now, once you've got all these creatives, how you set this up is what makes it so that you don't have a lot of wasted spend on bad ads. Like back in the day when we were doing ABO, we used to have to set all this stuff up in new ad sets. You had to give it a minimum budget per day. And then what you'd end up doing is you'd spend a lot of money on creatives that maybe didn't work that good. And so now that we're running CBO campaigns, we can load all this stuff up and the algorithm's going to decide if that ad is engaging enough to even get enough spent. And so inside the CBO campaign, what we're doing usually on a weekly basis is going in there and loading up new ad sets with new creatives inside of them. And so you can see like in this example, this campaign, it's all the same targeting. The only thing that's different here at the end is we've got a new creative idea or angle going into the account. And so for each one of these ad sets, we're using dynamic ads, and each ad has 3 creatives. So those 3 variations that I told you about. We've got 2 copies. It's usually the exact same copy, but the thing that we're testing is like a different hook, or we're positioning the offer a little bit differently. And then 2 different headlines. So that's 3 creatives, 2 copies, and 2 headlines. We will set all these up in the campaign. And then usually what we'll do is we will put a minimum ad spend budget for 7 days. So what that actually looks like is like when you're actually going into the account to set up new ads, usually what you're doing is you're going in, you're taking off the old minimum ad spend from the new ads from last week because those already got their 7 days of minimum spend. We want to we found that helps kind of push things into the into the campaign and get a little bit of spend going, but we don't put a very big minimum budget at all because we don't want to spend much if it's not a good creative. And then when we go back to the account, we take off that minimum ad spend after 7 days, and then we launch new ad sets and we give those the minimum ad spend. And so what this ends up doing is you don't really have to focus on going out and finding a bunch of new audiences once you have them working. You don't really have to focus on having any complex setups. All you're doing is copying ad sets, changing out the creative part, and then launching new ad sets with new creatives. And what you get to focus on is just having really good creatives in the account and then optimizing everything that happens outside of the ad platform. Bad ads just get a little bit of ad spend to see if they work or not. And then we turn them off. And all we focus on is every week getting new creatives inside that account. So at this part of the process, like you're really just focused on having good creatives. You're just launching them in the same CBO campaign, and you're letting Facebook decide if like this is a good engaging ad or not. So from there, optimizing and scaling these campaigns become quite simple because when you go in, if that ad set is not within CPA, you can just turn it off. If a campaign is within CPA and it's doing well, you can just turn up the budget on the CBO campaign. You don't have to go in and decide what individual ad set it's going to be. And then you can really focus on all the important stuff that's really going to help grow the business outside of the ad platform, which is coming up with better ads, optimizing your landing page, making a better VSL, or if you're running a webinar, making a better webinar, having your email follow-up improved, making sure you're sending out really good emails, improving your sales process, improving your client success so that your students get better results, your customer gets better results. That means you get more testimonials, more case studies, more people are talking about you online, making sure you have really good online reviews and a good online reputation. This is huge. I cannot tell you how many people that I've met who start to see a decrease in their sales. And when they start digging around, it's because you can Google them and someone posts like a bad review or a bad video about them online. And that will really impact your sales a lot because people are smart these days. Like they go out online, they see your ads, they want to know more about your company, they start going to do some research. And so having a really good online reputation and good online reviews on third-party sites like Trustpilot really do make a big difference. And then also focusing on your organic presence. Again, if people are going to be going out and looking for you, if they see your ads and then they go online and they can't find anything about you, right? You've got an Instagram page with 0 posts, you're not on YouTube, you're not on TikTok, like they can find nothing about you. Of course, you look like a scammier company, right? And so really what you can do is focus on making sure that you at least have a good organic presence. A lot of times when I think about organic presence for our clients, it's not necessarily that we think organic is going to be the primary revenue generator for us. Like ads is usually that channel, but we want to make sure that we're using these organic channels to build up that social proof and to make us look reputable so that when people go out and look for us online, they can have a really good image of who we are. They can learn more about us. They can hear about success stories, and they can feel more confident getting on the phone with us and joining our programs. All of that kind of stuff is really going to help move the needle with your ad campaigns. So many people think in order to like get better ad conversions, they need to like come up with some crazy ad or there's some like tactical strategy inside the account. Oftentimes it's what's happening outside of the ad platform, like what's happening in your funnel, what's happening with your customers, what's happening online, what's happening in the industry. That stuff will make a huge impact on your conversions. So be sure that you're focusing on that kind of stuff. And one thing that I really like about this new ad strategy we have that's a lot more simplified is we can spend more time focusing on these important things that matter. Now, one thing that is super important anytime you start spending any significant amount of money on ads is you're gonna have to have some kind of third-party tracking in order to understand how your sales are working. I talk to people all the time who are like, my Facebook ad data is not lining up with my sales data, and this platform is claiming these sales. And especially if they're running Facebook and Google, they're like, Facebook's claiming the sales, Google's claiming the sales, all of these people, I don't know what's going on. The big thing you have to understand is like the Facebook pixel is great for helping Facebook optimize your campaigns. Very important. You're going to want to have that set up and you're going to want to make sure you've got clean data there. If you're running Google ads, same thing, right? Like Google conversions helps Google understand if you're getting the results that you're looking for on that ad platform. They don't talk to each other. They're not going to line up. And so that's why it's really important to have some kind of third-party tracking system, Hyros, Segmetrics, something like this that's going to help complete that picture and give you a better idea of how your ads and your organic and your email and all these different touch points are really creating sales for you. Now, none of this is perfect, like I think if your goal is to try to make sure that your Facebook ads look perfect inside the ads manager and your Hyros data looks perfect, like you're wasting a lot of energy. Of course, you want to make sure you have like good, clean data going to these pixels and these different platforms. But I have found that nothing is perfect. After all of these years, I constantly find myself in spreadsheets, making tables, doing pivot tables, because a lot of times, like to get a really good, clear picture of what's going on, you've just got to go to the source. And so I've got another video that I'll throw, I think, up in this corner, and where I talk about like how we automate our ad tracking and the dashboards that we use. And like one of the best things you can do is find a way to get the real data from the source of that metric. So if you want to know how much money you spent, of course you want to ask Facebook ads, how much money did you spend? Because that's a really good source for that data. If you want to know how many people clicked on your ads, Facebook ads is going to be great at telling you that. But if you want to know how many people hit your landing page, like your funnel analytics are going to be better than Facebook ads. If you want to know how many calls you got booked, your call tracking platform is going to be better than Facebook ads. And so oftentimes what you want to do is find a way to bring all these together and get the data from the source that actually is the most accurate. And that's how you can create a really clear picture. So that's why we always suggest everybody have some kind of third-party tracking that they're using for this stuff. And then I love having backups. Like for all of our campaigns, we've got Zaps where we're dropping like calls booked with UTM codes, because you can't go wrong when you just have like hard UTM codes in a spreadsheet and you need to pull a pivot table or something. So I think that that's really important to understand, is that tracking is super important. And you're going to need to make sure that you're investing in having this set up well, but you don't want to just rely on Facebook to tell you what's going on. Like you need some kind of third-party tracking. And so that's it. That's the whole picture of how we're doing these new campaigns. Now, if you have your account set up the old way, right? If you're still using a bunch of different campaigns with a bunch of different interest targeting, and that's how you have things set up, I wouldn't just go turn off all your campaigns, tear everything down, launch this, and hope that it works. Because again, like I said, every ad account is different. Every company is different. And depending on what kind of data you've got on the pixel, it's going to change the way this impacts you. So here's what I would do to start rolling this out is I would just launch 1 or 2 CBO campaigns. If you're not doing any retargeting, I would probably just launch 1 cold, 1 warm. If you want to just start small, just launch 1 cold traffic campaign. Take your best audience, put it in there, and then grab the post IDs from like 3 to 5 of your best ads and stick that in there. So you've got a CBO with your best audience and your best ads. And then what you can do is let that run for a few days, make sure it's getting some data, and then you can do like your first rollout of some creatives. So you can copy that ad set, you can use this 322 and have a couple of different creative ideas added to that account, to that campaign. So what you've got is like, 1 campaign, now it's got 4 ad sets. And so you've got all your winners there, and then you've got 3 new ones, and each ad set, you have a different creative idea or a different angle that has that 322 variation in there. And then again, let that run for a week and see how that compares to your other campaigns. Because again, we do see that a lot of this stuff builds momentum, especially once you start to get more data into a campaign. It starts to get better at optimizing and going out and finding more people that are converting like we want them to. And so you can just gradually move spend into this new structure and slowly take it out of your old campaigns until that CBO is doing best for you. And then again, hopefully what you end up with is a really simplified campaign structure that is just 1 CBO campaign for cold, 1 for warm, where you're doing all your retargeting and moving people through the funnel. This really reduces a lot of the complexity, and it gives you a very clear focus on what you should be doing going forward. And so that is it. Hopefully, if you've been thinking of Facebook ads in a more complicated way, this has really simplified things and shown you like you can have a really simple, clear, structured way to just finding new creatives, getting them out there, and letting the algorithm tell you if these are going to be good enough ads or not. Simplify things down so that inside the ads manager, you're really just focused on creatives, and then you have time to focus on all the other super important things that are going to make this work. Having a better funnel, having a better sales process, having better client success, having a better reputation online, because that's the kind of stuff that's really going to help you win in the long run. Now, remember, just below this video, I've got that little extra download that's going to give you everything that we talked about in this video and a couple of other bonus goodies. So that's going to help you start rolling out this kind of strategy inside your account. So if you are running ads to grow your business, I probably don't have to tell you that this AI stuff is getting wild at this point. So in this video, I'm going to show you 2 tools that we are using to just crank out awesome video ad scripts. I'm going to show you how to do it in like less than 10 minutes. So in the next 10 minutes, if you follow along with me, you could be cranking out some really great video ads for your business. I probably don't have to tell you, like, your ads are the lifeblood of your ad campaigns, and we need to consistently get them into your account. Problem is, they just take a lot of work. But with AI, I mean, there's no other way to say it. It's just getting much easier to have a good creative process. So that's what I'm gonna show you in this video right here. Really quick, if you don't know me already, my name is Brice. I have been working online for nearly the last 10 years, mostly helping people attract new clients using ads, and especially people who sell digital products, courses, coaching, high ticket offers, services, stuff like that online. And so I spent a lot of money on ads, and I'm gonna show you these 2 tools that I am absolutely loving right now. So let's check this out. This first tool that I'm loving is called Poppy AI. And this tool is just awesome. The reason I love it is because what it gives us is a few things. One, it gives us this nice like visual builder. So we can actually just like add a lot of things into this AI board that we're using. Like we've built this one here for scripting. And any of these lines that I connect to this little box now become information that this AI tool can use. And then as we're conversing with it and we're talking with it in the chat, we actually have like different models we can use. So the way to think about this is like, this is pulling from an API to either Claude, which I find is really great for writing right now, or ChatGPT 4, which is really great for like research, breaking down videos, transcripts, learning from videos, all that stuff. And so what I could do is just like, copy and paste a YouTube video in here. And I could say like, hey, I want to break down this YouTube video. And you'll see where I'm getting this when we start talking about ads. But I could just connect this and say like, hey, can you break down this YouTube video and give me the framework for how they run ads. And what was this video called? Advanced Facebook Ads Guide. So what you can see really quickly is we just got this framework from this video. Now, what's amazing is if I put this video right here and I connect this box, now this is learning from those videos on how we want to do ads. So here's a little Hermosi video. Here's another great one from Nick. So these are all now connected and we can learn from those. Now, how does this come into play when we're doing video ads? Well, there's this other tool that I love called Foreplay. And so if you think about Foreplay, this is like a virtual swipe file where what I can do is I can come in here and I can search for any brand. So I could come in here and say like, I want to look at business because we run a lot of business related offers. And I could say like, okay, cool. Let's find a good advertiser here. Russell Brunson. Russell Brunson does great ads. And I could filter by what's running and I could filter by what's been running the longest. So little trick about advertising, people don't spend a lot of money on ads that are not converting. So if this ad has been running for 131 days, it's probably safe to assume that this is a good ad. So what I could do is I could just save this to my swipe file. And now they could take this ad offline. This is all saved. What I've got in here is the actual ad, the copy, the landing page they were running it to. I can get an AI analysis of how this was, like what's in the script. And I can also just grab the transcript straight out of here. Also really cool, I can download this video. So I can come in here and I can just download the video that's on this, which is going to be really valuable once we get into working with Poppy, because what we're going to do with Poppy over here is we are going to create a new conversation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a video ad from over here. So this is from content creators. These guys make amazing ads. Like if you want to study people who just crush it at making great ads for info products, these guys are the bomb. And then I'm going to use this prompt that I have right over here saved. And what this is going to say is basically, I'm giving it a task. I'm saying, hey, I want you to do is break down this video. Let me make this full screen so it's easy to see. What was that video called though? I need to know what that was. Go viral on YouTube. So I'm going to make this full screen. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to say, go viral on YouTube, because that was the name of the ad. So now it knows what we're talking about. Can you break down this video, go viral on YouTube, frame for frame and word for word script using the same format as this example? And then I give it the example output and it's how it's breaking it down. So I'm just going to hit enter. It's going to think for a while. And then now what we're getting is an actual frame for frame and word for word breakdown of this video. So hopefully you can see how quickly this is becoming very powerful. We used to have to do this manually. We could always see what other people were running, but we had to go through and get a transcript of the video and then actually break down frame for frame how this worked. Now, some of these are a little bit basic, so I would even maybe just come in here and say like, can you break down specifically what's in each frame for frame, for someone who wanted to remake this exact video? You can see my typing is terrible, but it's always going to figure out what I want. Awesome. So if I was finding ads that I love, what I would do there is I would actually just, I'd save it in my swipe file here. So I have it in my foreplay ads. And you can see I've got a board over here that's just my inspo info. And whenever I see people who are running great ads, I just go save all their ads and throw them in here. Iman was just running a campaign, so I grabbed a bunch of his because I thought he had some good scripts. I also will just break down these videos that I really like over here in Notion. So I have like something for, what are all the scripts and exactly how these are set up and all this stuff. Really valuable. But going back to our Poppy, because now what we can do, one thing that I have done with this Poppy board is I have trained it on my brand and my offers. And so if you don't know how to really train AI to know like your voice, your brand, your offers, your stories, all of that stuff, check out the link in the description below because I've got a little training on that and I can show you how to do that. But like, because I have trained this AI on all my stuff, I could come in here and say, can you rewrite that video script for my, well, let's say Brice Gump, so it knows exactly what I'm doing. Brice Gumps. Convert lead offer. Stick very closely to, can't type the script because it's a winning ad and we want to model it very. Also give me the frame breakdown exactly how to shoot this video ad. So let's pull this up full screen. Just make it easier for you to see. And this is that video script. Now, of course, if this was for me, I would go through, I'd definitely work on this hook. And then I would also ask it for like a shot list breakdown so that it has that shot list. And go through and kind of rework this. Also too, like I find Claude does really great scripts. So what I could do is get that frame for frame breakdown and then I could just create a new conversation with Claude and I could copy and paste that script and I could say, hey, here's the frame for frame breakdown. Can you rewrite that? I think Claude does much better writing than ChatGPT usually. But hopefully you can see how powerful this is very, very quickly. So also too, what I love, like again, with Foreplay, because we can just download ads, what I can do over here is actually just grab an ad, drag it over here, drop it in, and you can see it's quickly uploading. So here's like a Sabri Supri ad. This guy also just makes great ads. So again, I could do this exact same thing where, this is just kind of my storage bank over here. Grab this exact same ad. I could connect this. And now I could say, hey, great. Could you break this ad down frame for frame, word for word, and then help me rewrite this for my brand? And because it knows my offers and it knows my brand and all that stuff, it's going to be able to do it. It does it very quickly. Again, just one more super powerful use case about this. And let's say I find a YouTube video and that YouTube video is talking about like a great way to do a video ad or a great way to do a VSL, something like that. And I can just come over here. This is one that I saw from Alex Becker the other day. I'm just going to grab this. I can just copy and paste this in here. And you can see it's just going to transcribe that video. And then I can connect this and I could just come in here and say, hey, can you take this video ad script from this gross ad script that makes me however much money it makes Alex per day? And can you write me for my offer that I'm teaching it over here in my little products and offers guide and for my brand? And, I'll pause and do that real quick and let's see what it comes up with. Okay. So really quickly, I just asked it to look at that video ad script from YouTube and then just rewrite that for my offer, but in this format. And you can see it came up with something. Again, would I run it exactly like this? No, I would definitely put some work into this, but hopefully you can see like going back and forth. Now what we're able to do is we're able to use Foreplay to find ads that are running really well. It will literally tell us how many days it was running. And we are able to get those videos. We're able to upload those to AI. And then we're able to train AI on our offers, on our brand, on our tone of voice, how we do things. And then bounce between different models, because also another thing that we see a lot with AI is like right now, Claude is great at writing. 6 months from now, we don't know if ChatGPT is going to come up with some updates and it's going to be doing better or what it is. But we can bounce between these different models. we can break down winning stuff that works, and then we can go out and we can make ads for our offers doing this. So that's it. Hopefully here in like 10 minutes, I have just showed you how you can use these two tools. So Poppy AI to actually create the scripts and all that stuff, and then foreplay.co to actually go out and find these winning ads and see how long they've been running and see if they're still running, and then break these down and rewrite them for your offer. And so the problem where most people have, where like getting good video creatives is hard, is just it's getting easier and easier to go out, see what's working, and then have AI help you rewrite these. I do think the big thing that you need to have here is like, one, you need to have a good eye for what are the ads that are going to work for your brand and your market. And then you need to be able to train AI to know your avatars, like who are you speaking to, your offers, your brand, your product, all of that stuff. Because if you don't know how to train AI to actually know who you are, what's your voice, what are your products, and exactly who you're speaking to and their pain points and their issues, you're going to always kind of get generic stuff back. So again, if you want some help on how to do that, just check out the links down in the descriptions below. Other than that, hopefully this was a really quick video to just show you what is possible today, in today's day and age, with a lot of these AI tools. Hopefully that opens up your mind, and you can just grab these tools down in the description and then get started doing this. So that is all I've got for this one. Over the last 12 months, I have helped multiple course creators generate well over 6 figures using email marketing. And in this video, I'm going to reveal exactly how we do it step by step. I'm going to give you my entire 6-figure email marketing strategy, including exactly what emails we send, the automations, how to write these emails, how we use AI and ChatGPT to help us get this content out, and how we optimize all of our flow so that we're constantly making more money with the emails that we've got. First, we're going to map out this entire email marketing system so you can see exactly where every single email goes and how it fits together. Then I'm going to walk you through exactly how to set everything up step by step. Next, we'll go over how to build all of this even if you're just starting from day one, and I'll show you the AI tools that we're using to help get all of this done a lot faster these days. Just really quick, if you don't know me already, my name is Brice. I help online education companies sell their courses online. And so stuff like this email marketing systems, paid ads, is all the stuff that I've been doing for nearly the last decade. And in today's video, I'm just going to show you everything you need to know about email marketing. The very first thing is walking through exactly what this sequence looks like and where all the emails fit into place. And so the example that we're using right now is for like a high ticket offer. So what we run is a lot of VSL sales call funnels where we are booking sales calls for a sales team so we can sell high ticket offers over the phone. And so imagine someone sees an ad, or they watch a YouTube video, and then they see a link in the description, or they click on the link on the ad. They go to a page, and we are offering them some kind of video training, some kind of video sales letter. And so after they opt into that, the very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to have an automation in our CRM. Again, I'm going to show you how to set all of this up here in just a little bit, but we're going to have an automation in our CRM that is going to deliver the lead magnet, whatever that thing is that we've offered. So if you're a smaller company, maybe you just have one of these. But if you're a larger company, you have multiple lead magnets, which is the case for pretty much all the companies we work with. That's why we set it up this way. So we just have one automation that delivers that specific lead magnet. And then we have one email that follows up and just delivers specific content related to the lead magnet that they just got. Now at this point, at the end of that very first automation, and again, I'm going to show you how to set all of this up here in just a minute. But first, I just want to show you the idea so that no matter what CRM you're using, whether you're using the one that we use or a different one, all of that stuff, you can always set this up. So at the end of the automation, the goal that we're looking for is if they took the action that we want them to take. And in this example, again, for like a VSL sales call funnel, we're looking to see if they actually booked a call with their sales team. So if they did that, that's great. We add them to a segment in the CRM that lets us know that they booked a call. And then from there, the sales team takes over. So we don't need to move them into a next automation. Now, most people don't book a call right away. Actually, the vast majority of people will not book a call right away. And so then what we do is we trigger to start our indoctrination sequence. And the way that we set this up is we have a series of emails where what we're looking for is the first couple of emails, we're trying to find the people who take action quickly. So one thing that we figured out is that people take action for different reasons, right? And people have different buying personality types. And just like people have different ways that they learn or have different ways that they make decisions. And so what we want to try to do in this sequence is make sure that we're hitting on all the different people and the different ways that people buy. And so the first couple of emails, we're just looking for the people who are ready to take action. These are super direct emails. We are making an offer to get them on the phone with the sales team. After that, what we start doing is doing a little more nurturing. And so these are more like content story-led emails. These are for people who need more information to make decisions. And so we've got a few emails that we're sending out that are, again, just more content based, a little bit longer emails. And then finally, the last couple emails that we have are objection handling. So we're really always trying to keep an ear out for what are the biggest objections we're getting. We're talking to the salespeople to figure out what are the objections they're getting on the phone. We're looking at comments that we're getting in ads. We're having conversations with people back and forth via email. We're managing the inbox there. And we're looking for what are the objections and the questions that people have. And we're seeing if we can handle those biggest objections right up front. A little bit later, I will get into exactly how we optimize all of this. But really, these emails are coming from what are our top performing emails that we've sent out over the entirety that we've been running email marketing for this business. And so we'll get into a little bit more of that. But if you're wondering where do we get these content-led emails, it's really our top performing content emails. So at this point, we're doing a check again, right? This is one sequence in our CRM. And we're saying, did they take the action we wanted them to take? Did they book that call? Again, if they did, we add them to a segment that lets us know, hey, this person has booked a call. The sales team takes over from there. If they didn't, one of the things we're looking for is, did they click over to the sales page and not buy? So did we get them all the way to the bottom of the funnel? And what presumably seemed to be an issue was they had a pricing objection or some kind of issue there. If they took action, so they were actually engaging in these sequences, they're clicking on links, they're just not buying, what we have is another sequence that tries to handle those objections for people who are super aware. So again, we're assuming at this point, they've been reading our emails, they're clicking on them, they've gone to our sales page, they know what our offer is, they've seen our pricing if they've watched our VSL. And again, that's a deeper question about whether or not you reveal your pricing or not. In this particular case, we actually do reveal the pricing for the offer at the end of the VSL. So we're assuming they've gotten all of that and they just haven't taken action. So again, these are some fast action emails, a content story-led email, and some objection handling emails that are specifically based on thinking that someone has the awareness of everything they need to know about our offer and something's still holding them back. And so again, a lot of this is listening out for, what are the things we hear from people at this stage of the buying cycle, and what are the things that they need to hear in order to be able to move forward. So that's what we have if people are engaging in this sequence and moving forward or not. Now, if they're not engaging, so let's say they've gotten to this point, they're now, let's say 2 weeks into opting into our VSL, they're not clicking on our emails, they don't seem like they're super interested. What we do then is we take them to a downsell sequence. And so this is a lower ticket offer that we have that we sell just through email. We do not sell it we don't sell it over the phone. This is just a specific sequence for selling our lower ticket offer. And so anyone who's gone through this and they haven't engaged, what we do is we send them to our low ticket offer. Again, we've kind of got that same structure of fast action, content, and then objection handling. And what we're looking for at the end of that sequence is, did they buy that product? If they did, great. We have a post-purchase sequence that we send them to, which is basically how to get the best results with this product, try to get people to be happy, and then actually upselling them back into the high ticket offer that we have. But if they haven't taken that action, we're still not there yet. And then what we have is our best of newsletter sequence. So this is where we are always keeping an eye out for what are the best emails that we send out that get the most engagement, right? In terms of what gets the most clicks, what books the most calls, what sells the most, what gets the most conversations started, what gets really good quality conversations started, all of that stuff. And what we're always doing is just adding and taking out emails into this sequence. So if we see something doing really well, we add it here to the best of. If it continues to perform really well, we leave it. We go through this regularly and see what's not doing well, we take it out. But we're always looking for this best of, because the way we look at it is we've spent all of this time and resources writing all of these emails. Again, for some of these companies, we've been writing their emails for years. So we've spent thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours writing emails. We want to make sure that anyone who comes into the business sees the best content that we wrote. Otherwise, if we don't do this, we've got all this great content, we haven't been sending it out. And there's absolutely no rule that says you can only send an email once. So what we're doing is we're always looking for our best emails and sending those out over and over again. And then again, once we get to the end of the sequence, we take a look. Did they book a call? If they did, great. We tag them to say that they booked a call. Sales team takes over. If that's not the case, we add them to what we just call our general newsletter list. And these are the people who are finally getting the emails that we just write every week. And again, we'll get to how often should you write here in a little bit. And so what we've got is a list of people who have gone through all of this. They haven't taken the action that we want them to take. And so we're just keeping them up to date, and we're coming up with new angles and new ideas and new ways to engage these people. We're coming up with new promotions and all that kind of stuff, and we're sending it out to these people. And then again, what we're doing is regularly is going and looking at, okay, what are the best performing newsletter emails that we're sending? We're adding them into this best of. If they continue to do well, they leave them. And if they seem to do insanely well, because we're wow, this email we came up with is just killing it, Then what we do is we move it up further into the list. And so we get that into the initial indoctrination sequence to get people to take action. And so this is what a fully built out email marketing automation sequence will look like inside of one of our CRMs. And again, I'll show you exactly how to set all this up here in a little bit. The important thing is if you're just getting started, know that you don't start with all this. What you start with is just one sequence, and you're just sending out regular emails, and you're automating your best emails over time. And then you're looking at the ones that continue to perform well, you're leaving them in, you're adding them in, you're looking at the ones that don't seem to do well, you're taking them out. And then you're building this up over time. I mean, this took us months to get built out. But what it was all emails that were going out in our general newsletter list. We were just sending out emails to everybody on our list who wasn't in an automation. And then what we were doing is just slowly adding things into here. So like this downsell sequence started as the promotion we used when we launched this product. And then we automated that into our CRM, and we continue to optimize that. This bottom of the funnel sequence ended up as a promotion that we ran to all the people that we saw who were clicking on the sales page, were getting really close to booking a call with our sales team, but never took that action. And so this was just a promotion we ran 1 month, and then we automated that into our CRM. And so that's how a lot of this evolves over time. It's like you start with one really simple sequence, and then what you end up with is something that looks like this. And so again, what this does really well is it takes into consideration the stages that people are at when they're going to buy products like this. And so we have people who are unaware of the products that we have. Maybe they're unaware of the solutions that we provide. And so we're trying to educate people more on the problem and talk to people that way. We have a lot of story-based content that we use to also build a relationship with the reader. And then we also take into consideration people who are farther in the buying cycle. They probably know the offer that we have. They might even know our pricing, and we're trying to speak to them that way. So that's what this does really well. It also takes into consideration that different people buy different ways, right? So not everybody is just a super fast action taker. Some people need more information. Some people need more logical information. Some people need more of an emotional pull. And then eventually people just have 1 or 2 objections that are holding them back. And so we're trying to come up with different ways to figure out what those objections are and build that into our sequence so we can address these objections before we get someone on the phone, so that once we get someone on the phone, they are a highly qualified and ready to buy individual who has all the information that they need to make a decision. Now they're just talking with someone on our sales team. So I've walked you through what this all looks like at a high level. And keep in mind, the reason I wanted to show you at a high level so you can see what it really looks like when it's all built out. If you're just getting started, if you're brand new, if you don't have any emails to send out, don't worry. Because what we're going to do is we're going to build up to this, and I'm going to explain to you how all of that works. Now, as far as the best platform to build all of this out, the platform that I'm going to recommend is Kajabi. And I'll tell you why. It's because after working with a ton of companies, what I've seen is we're usually already paying for a course platform. And I think Kajabi is the best at that. I think their delivery, their mobile app, the way that their library in the store works, all that stuff is just really good. So as far as a course delivery platform, I think it's one of the best. And then which a lot of companies end up doing is they're paying for that, and then they're also paying for a CRM or an email marketing platform. And most email marketing platforms charge you by the contact. And so once you start to have a list that's tens of thousands of people as your company grows, you end up spending thousands of dollars a month to have your email marketing platform and your course delivery platform. And so what I like about Kajabi, and the reason that we've just grown to really get used to it and to love it, is because we can have our course delivery platform and our email platform all in one. We're paying one price, and we're not going to end up paying thousands of dollars a month to have a really big email list as your company grows. And so again, that's why we've come to use Kajabi. It's not as visual as a lot of the other builders out there, but we've learned to deal with that and make it work. And so I'll recommend Kajabi. If you want to grab a free 30-day trial, I've got a link down in the description below. And I've also got some instructions where if you do want to sign up for Kajabi, you want to sign up through my link, I get a little affiliate commission when you do that. And so what I'll do is if you will follow the instructions on the page to show me that you signed up through my link, I will even send you my email copywriting course for free. And so there's some free bonuses if you do choose to sign up at the link down below. You don't have to sign up for Kajabi. If you already have an email platform, pretty much everything that I'm going to show you in this video pertains to every CRM. They're all pretty much the same as the fundamental platform. It's just how they look and where you click is a little different. But when I'm going to talk about setting up the right settings and tags and triggers and automations and all of that stuff, you could do any one of this in pretty much any CRM. We've built it out in tons of them. And so that is my little rant on why you should use Kajabi. Let me show you how to get this all set up. So once you get into Kajabi, really the only important setting that you need to know is if you come into settings under marketing settings, down here is where you can control like the actual domain and the branding that you're sending from. So So you can make sure it's like your name at whatever your domain is.com. That's really important to have set up here, and also the reply email address, so that when people are replying to emails, if you want to make sure those come to your inbox, that's where you're going to set these up here. Now, when you want to get started sending emails, under here, marketing, under email campaigns, you've really got two types of emails. So you got broadcasts and sequences. A broadcast is like an email that you're going to send at a specific time. So it's just like tomorrow at 8 a.m., I want to send an email to all of this group of people inside of my database. The other one is a sequence, and that's pretty much what we've been talking about over here. So like everything here, this is a sequence. In other CRMs, they call them like automations, they call them flows. Kajabi calls them sequences. So when we're talking about sequences, that's it. So what we're going to be setting up in this video is we're going to be setting up our first two sequences that we need. We're going to set up this first one that actually delivers whatever it is that someone opted in for, whether that's a lead magnet, a VSL, whatever that is. And then we're also going to set up our indoctrination sequence. And so that way, once someone gets whatever that they opted in for, we've also got a series of emails to go out and get them to take the next most important step that they need to take to become a customer of your business. Now, before we get into setting up sequences, there's one other term we need to understand, which is called tags. Now, tags you can see here on my little contact profile. These are these little things that come up right here. With tags is how we can track the different actions that people take on our website or within our CRM. And this is where we can kind of start and stop sequences as we go forward. So these become really important as we go forward. So one of the things that I like to do is actually, before I get started with anything, I like to go in and set up the tags that I know I'm going to need. These are kind of the categories that I've found helps over time. So you can see like you can just have as many tags in here as you want. If you don't organize them, it can get a little messy. So this is kind of my list over here is like one. I'll just call it an automation. So these first ones are kind of the category. So it's like the automation, whatever the automation name is, received. This is how I can put a tag in that lets me know who has received a certain automation. If they've been in automation, I'll show you how to get all this set up here a bit. Clicked. So if someone's clicking on an email, this is really helpful so that we can track what people are actually engaging with. People download lead magnets all the time. They never even open them. So even this way we could track like, okay, who are the people taking action, clicking on sales pages, opening lead magnets, downloading the things that we sent them. Interest. So this is what we'll use oftentimes if we'll send out topics on emails on different themes. So like for me, it might be email marketing and Facebook ads. For somebody else, it might be like, I don't know, losing weight and building muscle, right? So as we send out emails that have very specific themes, we will tag people who are engaging with those on interest so we can kind of segment our CRM going forward. Opt in for whatever lead magnets people are downloading, purchase, so whatever products people are buying. If they're a refunder, if we're doing sales to a sales team, has this person submit an application, booked a call. And this general newsletter is just anyone who is on the general newsletter. And then if we're like building up, pre-selling a product, a wait list, and then what's the name of that? So these are some of the tags that I have found to be helpful. So I will oftentimes just run through and set up the basic one of these. So like my automations, my lead magnets, my products, my sales tags, anything like that. So at least I know I have those and I can go in to start setting up my automations. So getting into the sequences, this sequence is going to be the very first sequence where we're actually delivering whatever somebody has opted in for, whether that's a lead magnet, a VSL, an ebook, whatever you got. And so the important things we need to understand with automations is we have subscription triggers. So basically like what is the thing that's going to start this automation? And what would be the thing that ends this automation? So if we needed to pull somebody out of this automation because they took the step that we wanted them to take, maybe that's like book a sales call, purchase a product, we wanted to end these emails. Those are the really two important ones to know. So like really simple for this one, if somebody fills out the form that they want to download this lead magnet, right? Then what we want to do is we want to start this automation. And this automation has one email in it. And in this email automation, what we've got is the actual email that delivers them the thing that they wanted to get. So that's this right here. And so what I have found to be helpful, especially when it comes to emails and understanding like how they should look and stuff, we only send plain text emails. Every now and then, maybe we'll throw an image in an email, but we really only send 95% of the time plain text email. So if you see these emails, they're going to be like 16, 18 point font, super simple. Even in Kajabi, it has this one little thing that comes up that's like view in web browser link. And we will actually just like come in and even hide this in the settings so that really the only option people have is to just view this super simple plain text email right here. That's in the settings right here under view in web link browser. So what you'll see that people get is they just get this one text-based section where they have an email that they can read. And what you can do is you can actually save this as a template. So I'll save this as like, 16 point, 18 point, open sans font, whatever. And then I'll show you how we can go back and use that later. But so when we set this up, day zero means it's going to be delivered immediately when someone subscribes. An internal title, so just you know what email it is, that's what's going to show up in your little list. The subject line, the preview text, and then actually setting up the content of the email. So once you've got that, you can use test email, so you can actually just send this to yourself, make sure it looks good. And then from there, that's how you've set up your first email. And so what we'll do is we'll come in here, we'll set up our very first email. It'll look exactly like this. Save this as a template. So, again, I can say like 18 point, open sans, plain text. Hit save or create, and then we're good to go. And so now moving on to this kind of like next step, what I like to do is I like to add a tag that lets me know that this person downloaded this thing. So again, they filled out this form, they got this email. Now I know, okay, they have got this lead magnet. So I'm going to add this tag to them so that when I find that person in the future, I would even know, okay, these are the lead magnets that person has downloaded. Now, after this, so let's say they finished this automation, right? They got this email that they were supposed to get. The next thing that we want them to do is once this last email is sent, in this case, this one right here, what we're going to do is we're going to subscribe them to a different email sequence. So they've completed this one, and now we want them to go to this indoctrination sequence. And so coming over here to my indoctrination sequence, what I've kind of done here is this person has finished this one, and what we're going to do is they haven't booked the call, they haven't taken the action that we need them to take, and so we want to start that next sequence, which is that indoctrination sequence. And so this sequence starts when someone completes this last sequence and they come over here. And then you can see we've got this first one that goes out at day 1. So this isn't going to send immediately. This is going to wait 1 day, and then it's going to send this email. And then we're going to add a tag to let us know, hey, this person's in that automation sequence. So we can use that later if we want to filter for people who have already gone through this once. And then we've just got the rest of the emails going out. So we've got day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, and we can keep building out the emails. Now, what we've also got here is this unsubscribe trigger. So again, like we said, the action we want them to take is to book a call. And so this unsubscribe trigger is if at any point in the sequence, this person does book a call and we use that form to add this tag, then what we're going to do is we're going to remove this person from this sequence so that what happens is they stop getting these emails, they go to the sales team, and the sales team can handle that. Or we can fire another sequence that's for people who booked calls. And so again, that's kind of the most important parts of these sequences is knowing what is the subscribe trigger and the unsubscribe trigger. And then we always like to throw in this little tag for like, how can we track people who have gone through this sequence? So that's really it for sequences. Really the two most important things you need to think about as you're setting these up is like, what is the subscribe trigger? So what is the action that's supposed to happen that's going to start all of this from happening, start all of these sequences. So it's going to get people to start receiving these emails. And then what would be the goal or the action that someone would take that would get them to end these emails so that they're not going to get them anymore because they presumably taken the action they were supposed to take, whether that's fill an application, book a call, buy something, or we're going to end this automation, probably because we're going to start another one somewhere else. And then if I need to add an email to this automation, again, it's just add a new email. You can see my custom template shows up right here. So I've just got this super simple basic email. I click on that, I get started, I give it a title. This is my email 6. Let's say this is my story about how I got started. And now it adds this next email into my sequence. And then I can go in and decide, okay, how many days from when the sequence got started should this be sent out? So, this is my eighth day. This email will go out. I give it a subject. I give it a preview. I come in here. I edit my content. I put whatever my email needs to be. And then I just click save. And so that's how we're going to go out and build out these sequences. And now at this point, like how we're going to build these out, why we want to build these out this way. And how you can set up these different sequences and fill them up with emails. And we also know how do we get people to start in these sequences using the triggering tags? And then how do we get people to end? So let's say someone books a call and we want to remove them from that. You can use an unsubscribe trigger, and then that will get someone to end this email, and they could presumably end this sequence, and they could presumably either get taken over by somebody else or go into a different sequence, something like that. So one of the most important questions that I get is how do we optimize these things over time? And so what I have found is we will pull all the stats, we'll keep them in a spreadsheet, something kind of like this. And then we'll also keep a doc that just kind of outlines what are the observations that we're seeing, what should we be sending, what's our general strategy, and how do we keep improving this? And so we'll just drop all the stats in here for what are the emails that are getting sent out, how many people did it get sent to, what segment did it get sent to, if we have different writers, who wrote it, what was the subject line. Then we look at opens, clicks, And then as well as like, what was the expected outcome that we wanted? And how many people took that action? And so this is where we can go through and start judging emails based on what did we expect to happen? So were we asking for replies? Were we trying to get calls booked? Were we trying to get sales? And then how many of those did happen so we can start to compare them to other emails that we've sent out with a similar call to action. And then what we can do is find the best ones and start to move those into automations. We can also look at stats over time and see which ones are the ones that haven't performed as well. We can take those out and try swapping those out with a different one. The other thing that I find is helpful is just having a little doc that kind of outlines like generally what is our strategy. So how many emails are we trying to send out every month? When do we do promos, or when do we do big pushes for particular things? And then like what is the content that we want to be sending out when we're not doing a promotion or something like that? And so we can keep a little doc like this. That's like, here's the stuff that we've seen, the ideas that we have, what are we promoting, keeping a customer avatar, tone of voice doc, anything like that, stuff that's gotten responses, and then keeping like what's a super signature that we use in our emails. Okay, so now that we've talked about all that, let's talk about where do you get started if you are brand new at this? Because I think this is one of the big questions people have is they're like, hey, this all sounds great, but this looks like a lot of work. And I'm a brand new beginner. I'm just getting started sending emails. What should I do? And so I think the important thing here is to just get into a cadence of regularly sending emails. What you want to do is get into a habit where you're sending a couple of emails a week. I think if you're just getting started and if all you can do is commit to 1 or 2 emails a week, that's fine. Just keep sending 1 or 2 emails a week. And then what you can do is as you're going forward, you're getting new leads on your list and you're sending out emails every single week to everybody on your list. You can start to build these first automations. Your very first sequence, your very first automation can just be 3 or 4 emails that goes out to someone who downloads your free thing. So maybe you've got a YouTube channel, you've got a lead magnet on there. If someone downloads that lead magnet, what are the first 3 or 4 emails that you want them to get after they opt in before they go onto your kind of general broadcast newsletter list and just start getting regular updates from you? And just start there. Because then what you can do is you can just keep adding to it. As you send out new broadcast emails that do really well, if people respond really well, or you get people to buy, or you get people to book calls, you can just take that one email and add it to the end of your very first sequence. And now what you've got is you're slowly building out a sequence of your best emails to go out to people who come into your list after you've written them. And over time, these sequences will develop and they will get better, and you'll have more and more email content to work with. Because if you're just getting started, you've only ever written 4 emails, these kinds of automations can seem like a lot. But once you've been doing this for a few months and you've got 50 emails to choose from, it's going to be a lot easier to look at your stats and kind of look at what had the best response and pick the best 8 emails that you could send out. Now, one tool that I have found to be insanely helpful when it comes to writing these emails is ChatGPT. And so I'm using this pretty much every time I'm writing email sequences these days. Really, I think once you kind of figure out how to use it, I definitely have found that it to be very helpful. I think one of the biggest things that I have come to learn with this is it's never going to write you a fully done email. And like, it's never just going to do all the work for you, but it really can help you get some ideas and get some first drafts out fast. The best thing that I have found these days that are working well is using GPTs. And so what we'll do anytime I have a new brand that we're working with or anything, I come in here and I create a new GPT. And I will give it a name. I'll say, this is my, whatever brand, email copywriter. And then for instructions, you can use this create feature. Or we've kind of developed some instructions here where we say like, hey, we want you to be a copywriter. We want you to be focused on email. Here are our biggest influences and the people that we really like and how they write emails. We want you to go study and learn from all of them. Now what we want you to do is become our email copywriter. The 3 docs that we give them is we give them a tone of voice doc where we write out what is the tone of voice and how this brand writes. And then we go get like 20 emails that we've already sent out and we put that all in a Google Doc. We download it as a PDF so that we can put it in here and it knows how to write. We give it a customer avatar, and then we give it our products and offers. So we make a list of all of our products and offers and we upload that into the knowledge base so that it knows what's the tone of voice, who is the customer writing for, and what are the products we're writing for. And so once we have that, then what we'll do is we'll just come in here, we'll create the GPT, and then we can go back and forth with the GPT. And what I find it's really good at is coming up with ideas and then getting out first drafts. And so oftentimes what that looks like is we'll kind of brainstorm with the GPT where we'll say like, hey, okay, right now what we want to do is we want to write a series of emails to promote this product. the series that we're going to write is, the first email we need to write is like a teaser email. And what are some angles we could take to promote this product to this customer avatar? It'll come up with 4 or 5 angles. And we say, great, we really like angle number 3. Let's write that one. And then we say, okay, you write that email. Then what it can do is you can go back and forth with it a little bit, kind of polish it off, get that into a Google Doc, and then you go be the one that polishes and edits it off. That's really what I found to be the best way to work with GPT, but it has definitely really helped turn down the amount of time that we're spending writing emails and at least get a draft up that's like 60, 70% of the way there before we go on to actually like write the whole thing. All right, so finally to wrap this up, I'm just gonna rapid fire off some of the biggest questions that I get down in the comments below. And if you do have questions about any of this, please feel free to drop them down in the comments below. I'm always jumping in there and answering questions as best as I can. But after doing a lot of content on this channel, I can tell you some of the biggest ones that I've got. So one of the first ones is, how often should I email my list? And really, I think the best answer is like, as often as you can, the better. So we've had brands where we're emailing 7 times a week, and that works. As long as you can keep the quality up and you are not just spamming people with offers, we have generally found that most people don't read all your emails. So even though you're popping up in their inbox every day, they're probably not reading every single piece of content you put out. But when something catches their eye, they open the email from you, and then that's a really good way to stay engaged with your audience. So following up, people then say, well, won't people get tired of hearing from me? And again, most people aren't reading every single thing that you put out. I think oftentimes as brand owners, we think that people are constantly paying attention to us because we're always thinking about what we're doing. But people are living in their own world. They're doing their own thing. They're not really paying attention to you. They probably have 2,000 unread emails in their inbox. They're not really noticing that you're another one until you have a subject line or something that pops out. The big thing is, when somebody has the problem that you solve, you want to make sure that you're at the top of the inbox. And so that's why we really like to keep sending. So again, we've had brands where we write every single day for them. And if you're just getting started and all you can commit to is once or twice a week, and that's how you keep your quality up, that's totally fine. I do think anything less than once a week is really starting to short yourself on what you can do with your email marketing. Another question is, how often should I sell versus nurture my email list? And so one rule that we like to use this is what we call the 70-30 rule, which means we want 70% of our content to be value driven and we want 30% of our content to be sales. Now that doesn't mean you can only sell in 30% of your emails. Oftentimes what we'll do is we will write an email, 70% of the content is just pure value or a story or something to connect with our reader. And at the very end of that email, we have a CTA. Maybe it's at the end of the email, maybe it's in the PS. But we've got at the bottom of the email some kind of offer, and most of the email is valuable content that they could take something away from it, whether they buy whatever we have it is or take the action in the email or not. And then when we send 3 or 4 emails, we have the space to just send one email, pure offer. And that's where we're just directly asking someone to take the next step, whether that's buy the thing, fill out the application, book the call, whatever that is. Last question is, how do I get more people to open my emails? So one of the obvious things that stands out is subject lines, because subject lines are the things that pop up in somebody's inbox that get somebody to want to click on it. And so working on your subject lines, having better subject lines, having shorter, more curiosity-based subject lines always helps. And I do find that for a lot of people, what a lot of newer writers tend to do is they tend to summarize the email in the subject line, when really what you want to do is use the subject line to get somebody to open the email. But I think what a lot of people don't talk about is the relationship that you have with your audience also impacts your subject line. Like, I know I have people that pop in my inbox. I don't really care what their subject line is. I just know that person and I like that person and I like the content they put out. So if they send me an email, I'm just going to read it because it's them. And so while yes, you can use subject lines to continue to improve your email open rates and to try to get people to open your emails, one of the best things you can do is just continue to send out really good, valuable content and train people to know that when you send out stuff, it's going to be valuable for them. Now, this takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of work, but it really comes down to like knowing who your audience is, knowing what the problems that they have are, and then making valuable content for them, sending out via email, and then also making valuable offers for them. Because if you're selling them stuff that helps them and you're sending them free stuff that helps them, chances are they're probably going to want to open their emails when they see you in their inbox. All right, so that is it. That is my full email marketing masterclass that we put together here in this video. If you have any questions, please drop them down in the comments below. Also, please check out the links that I have in the description. I've got, again, some of the tools that we talked about. We've got Kajabi and that free trial. I've also got some other really valuable email resources down there that you can download. So please check those out. If you like this video, please hit like, subscribe, save, come back to it. Use it to help you set up your email marketing. That's all I got. If you like this video, please check out this one next because I've got more good stuff in this video. Have a great day, and I'll catch you in another video.